So tell me about you. Why? Where are you from? What's making you so passionate?
I'm from Seattle, Washington, and like I said, I supported him in 2016. I didn't really follow politics too much before the last election. I kind of grew up in just a typical Democrat household, just thought Democrats are good, Republicans are bad. My first presidential election, I voted for Obama happily, and then it wasn't until about the last 5 or 6 years that I kind of started to look under the surface a little more, and I think Bernie, he's not perfect. I certainly don't want to hero worship a presidential candidate, but I think he's the best, most progressive candidate with the most viable chance of winning that we've had in my lifetime. And I was able to take a weekend off work. It wasn't too expensive to come out to Iowa for a couple of days and knock on some doors. And I just wanted, if he loses or if he wins, I wanted to be able to say I did everything I could personally, because I really believe in him.
It's interesting because you're from Seattle. I was there last year covering just the absolute machete Jeff Bezos and Amazon has put through that city. I mean, the homelessness is out of control. And it really is a tale of two cities. I mean, even most people native to Seattle can't even live there anymore because it's so expensive. And I think that's very emblematic of what we're seeing all over the country. Bernie's really the only candidate I even hear mention the word gentrification. Right. So I think, what you might see in Seattle, a lot of people are seeing in Chicago and Philadelphia and New York and D.C. and Portland and San Francisco. It's basically our government selling out the people to real estate developers, to pharmaceutical executives, to fossil fuckers, as I call them. And it seems like particularly young people, but older people too, are finally kind of waking up that this is not going to stop unless we stop it.
Right. I mean, in Seattle, Jeff Bezos personally, or Amazon at least, spent $1.5 million trying to stop Shama Swant from getting reelected, and luckily she was able to. It looked like on election night she was going to lose, and she got reelected, and now she's trying to maybe reintroduce a tax on Amazon, a corporate head tax. So that would be great because it's not just Amazon, it's Boeing, Expedia, Microsoft, Starbucks. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't bring some jobs, but I also think that that housing has skyrocketed. The media. I mean, I live in my dad's garage right now. I couldn't. I'd have to work. I work in the service industry, and I'd have to work probably 70 or 80 hours a week to be able to afford like a little decent apartment in Seattle.
How much do you think rent has gone up in Seattle over the last 5 years? Take a guess on the percentage.
I don't know a percentage. I don't want to take a guess, but I know the median household income price has gone up to like $700,000. So I don't know, at least
70%.
I was going to say 60. So yeah, it's out of control, and there's people getting pushed out into the suburbs all the way down to Olympia. Now even Olympia is an hour and a half south of Seattle, is becoming much less affordable. So yeah.
What's your name again?
Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Tell people if they want to do an interview. We're going to be out here. Cool. Hey, want to come on board?
Oh yeah, I've been
Absolutely.
Here since TYT days. So
1 second. Folks, I have a request. Press the like button. Smash that like button. It's a thumbs up button right under the video. We're in a very noisy bar. I don't want to go inside because let me tell you something. If we go on inside and you even see that Super Bowl in the corner of the TV, we're going to get a copyright strike. And I don't want a copyright strike. So we're staying out here. We're going to interview people. Sorry about the microphone and all that. I think it was because of the speaker phones and all that stuff going on. But press the like button. It'll help us get the audience up. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. Leave a super chat because we're all feeling super. Less than a little over 24 hours away from the Iowa caucus. What's your name?
Jason Edwards from Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting people today from California, from Arizona, from New York, from Ohio, from Seattle. I heard that there's international people that have come in. Tell us, how do you describe this energy? Because I could tell you, I was at a Biden event yesterday. It's like a different galaxy in terms of energy.
It's all love. Like, everybody just loves each other. I met people knocking doors from Florida, saw them out on the doors, and then we connected in here, and we just instantly became friends. It's like we're all a family. It's amazing.
What brought you out from Ohio? What's at stake for you?
My wife is an immigrant. She's on a green card, and any day this administration can say, you guys got to go. That's how crazy they are. So I'm fighting for her. I'm fighting for my 4-year-old daughter to, make this planet habitable for her and her kids, and, make sure that she has a healthcare and education and an economy that works for her the most. So that's why I'm fighting. I've been fighting since 2016. So, we're going to keep going even after this. So to fight for those things.
I would say that the usual comfort of the establishment, they're not as comfortable these days. You know what I mean? There's a collective freak out going on at the DNC. Reports coming out that a few of them are very worried. They're talking about reversing the superdelegate rule, moving the superdelegates from the second ballot back to the first ballot. Tom Perez tweeted out, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. But do you really trust Tom Perez? This is the same DNC that told Mike Gravel's campaign and Tulsi Gabbard's campaign and Andrew Yang's campaign, we're not changing the rules. You got to meet the polling requirements and the individual donor requirements to debate. But they just changed the rules for a billionaire who gave them $325,000. So my point is, as exciting as it is here and how revved up everybody is, it seems like, the bourgeoisie is really bulking up and ready to go against you guys.
Yeah, I think they're kind of in a bubble. They don't realize what's coming until tomorrow night. After tomorrow, they'll be on notice. So whatever rules they want to change or try to change, it won't matter when we have 100 people in the caucus and they only have 20. They're going to have to fight for that one delegate while we get the rest. So it's important that we're all out there. If you live in Iowa, you're caucusing, you bring your friends and your family to caucus. We need to pack those rooms with so many people that they can't try to win it on a second allocation of delegates where 20 Warren people and 20 Biden people get together and seal a delegate. We need to get all the people in that room so they can't do that. So it's all percentage game and turnout, and we have almost hit 600,000 doors so far in Iowa. We made 10 million calls. It's just, we're going to do it. It's going to happen. So, yeah, I stood right next to Bernie when he gave his concession speech at the DNC as a delegate. One of the most emotional times of my life. And I knew from that moment on I couldn't stop. And we're here. We got about 30 people from Ohio to come and knock doors. And we're all over the state right now with our volunteers. It's great. So.
And last question, it seems to me, particularly in Iowa, I was at a Joe Biden event yesterday, which again was very different. And I interviewed one woman. A lot of these people, she was probably in her 40s or 50s, but a lot of these people, older people, and by the way, we have a lot of smart older people in our audience.
Shout out to
Boomers for Bernie. A lot of these people are conditioned to be moderate and to think that the moderate position is the only thing that's going to get you to beat Trump. And I spoke with one woman, and it didn't even take much for me to say, well, how's moderate President John Kerry? Yeah. How's moderate President Al Gore? Who, it was stolen, but shouldn't have even been that close. How's moderate President Hillary Clinton? There's just this corporate brainwashing that has gone out there, and that's what we try to do. I don't consider myself like a Bernie booster. I consider myself a booster of reality. The reality is, milquetoast liberalism is not a popular position in America. It doesn't win you most elections. That's why the Democratic Party has lost over 1,000 seats over the last decade. So, sorry, I'm getting a little worked up.
No,
but
speak it. Take a
but
search.
am I wrong? Because I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of moderates. They're moderate because they're told by the media that's what wins. That in their heart are not moderate. And when you actually explain to them, no, what Bernie's talking about has appeal across ages. Even Republicans like some of these proposals. They start to get it.
Yeah. So in 2018 in Ohio, we have a governor's race, and my friend Councilwoman Tara Samples ran with Dennis Kucinich. I helped their campaign. We saw what happened when they elected a moderate, boring milquetoast Democrat in Richard Cordray. We know that he was going to lose. It didn't excite anybody. We lost the whole ticket, all statewide races. We picked up a couple judges, but for the most part, the Ohio Democrats got beat by a moderate. And we can't just, like you said, we had all of these moderate candidates that keep coming up and keep losing. We need to be bold. We need to give people a reason to come out to vote. There's a reason people came out to vote in 2008 for Barack Obama, because they wanted health care. They believed in his message of yes, we can. As soon as he started taking that turn to the right, what happened? We lost the House. turnout was down. We lost tons of seats all over the country because people didn't believe that what they were told, this yes we can, we're going to have health care, and it didn't happen. It just killed everybody. So we got to be bold. We got to fight. We can't compromise on some things. So
by the way, it's getting lost in the chaos of impeachment and the caucus and coronavirus. Trump just added 6 countries. He just added 6 countries to the do not fly list, mostly Muslim and brown countries. So the stakes are very high for you, your family, your wife. So thank you for talking to us. Appreciate it.
Keep
Absolutely.
it hot, man. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So how are we on the live stream battery? All right. So we got 33% battery, so we're going to keep on going. Come on in, sir. What's your name?
How you doing? Dale.
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 Love you. What's going on? Where are you from?
Denver, Colorado.
So it's like nobody from Iowa is actually.
And I knew nobody had a plan, and then the Afghanistan papers came out a month or so ago, and that was my affirmation, what I thought was going on.
Yeah.
And then the Soleimani attack, and I went into my boss the next Monday and was like, I'm taking 2 weeks vacation. I'm going to Iowa. So I even took 1 week unpaid. So I was like, yeah,
That's dedication.
we're going to make this happen. Because the number one issue by far, but of course, I have to carry my own insurance, $450 a month, $300 in student loans. Like, it's a little burying sometimes, So
Plus rent or whatever other expenses.
yeah, I own a house and have 3 roommates. If it weren't for the roommates, there's no way I could ever own that house. So, but
I want to bring that up because it's a great point. I remember, by the way, however many people are watching, press the like button. It's the thumbs up button right under the live stream. We need you to press that like button. It helps get the audience to more and more people. If you're not a Status Coup member, fund the media revolution. Statuscoup.com/join. We are 90 members from 1,000. We got to get to 1,000 by New Hampshire. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up. It's only $5 a month. You could become a member at $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. It's the only way we could fund this. It ain't cheap. Oh, thank you. We got a member right here. So what's really makes me angry, and I'm sure it makes you angry, Joe Biden literally handed a Patriots Award to George W. Bush.
yeah.
Joe Biden handed a Patriot Award to George W. Bush after the Iraq War. Joe Biden,
He voted for it.
Right.
I mean, he voted for it, so
Joe
he
Biden,
is a patriot.
Joe Biden, reports came out that Joe Biden not only voted for the Iraq War, months later, when it was clear that it was not like the Bush administration said it would be, it wasn't going to take 3 weeks and we'd be out. It was already high casualties, a disaster. He was going around the country saying, our president is a bold leader. Our president, I'm going to stand with George W. Bush. He's a popular leader, and it might not. The war might not be popular, but it's the right thing to do. This was months later. Okay, Joe Biden is a war hawk, just like Hillary Clinton was, but he's reinventing history. He has John Kerry going around. Oh, I was going to interview you next. He was going around. He was going around saying, well, I voted for the war, but I didn't vote for the war. I only voted to give Bush the opportunity to send inspectors in. You don't vote for a fucking war to send inspectors in. You send the inspectors in before you vote for the war. I mean, Jesus. He's going around as American soldiers, which your family had a lot of them, are being dismembered or being killed, and now he's trying to pretend he wasn't for that war. At least Hillary Clinton didn't pretend she wasn't for the war. At least she stands by the fact that she did vote for that war. What do you think about?
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, what do you think about that? Because it makes me angry as a journalist that these lies are going pretty much unchallenged.
It's that's the normal thing, man. So Can I say one last thing for 30 seconds? So basically, in 2003, I was 13 years old. I remember this crazy guy with the white hair being like the only one saying we should not do this. And then in 2008, during the crash, I saw him again, and that's when I connected it back and realized that was Bernie Sanders, and then kind of fell out of the whole political scene while I was in college. So then came back 2015, all of a sudden he's running for president. So I've been active, ready to go since 2015. I worked with this campaign in 2015. So I'll go back to Colorado until Super Tuesday. We're going to hit it. And then can I shout out Andrew Romanoff against Hickenlooper?
Yeah. Progressive candidate Andrew Romanoff.
In the primary in Colorado, the primary is not over. It's not just handing it to Hickenlooper again. Sounds a lot like Joe Biden. So
thanks, man.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much,
it.
man.
Absolutely.
Everything you do.
Thank you. Yeah. Hang tight. He's just getting the tripod so we could stabilize. Come on over. How you doing? What's your name?
Tara Samples, Akron, Ohio.
Tara Samples, Akron, Ohio. Come over here. Woo. Ooh. Hang tight for 1 second, folks. We're just getting the tripod. We're a little unproduced here, so
That's okay.
yeah. So you're a councilman now?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
In Akron, Ohio.
Okay, cool. So as we wait for Jamal to get the tripod, what's really amazing here, I haven't met one person from Iowa volunteering. I'm sure there are, but I've only met people from other states, even other countries. It's really amazing. All right, we're coming. He's setting up the tripod now. It's a lot to carry that camera, hours on end. So, you're Nina's best friend, I hear. Whoa, I'm a fan. All right, well, people could hear you, so we'll catch up to the camera. Will be turned on. So, when did you win your council seat in Akron? You said
In Akron. I just got sworn into my third term, so I've been there 6 years.
Oh, wow. And what's really interesting to me, Bernie, a lot of supporters were very, very dejected after 2016. And Bernie basically just said, he put out like a casting call. I want all of you to run for office, ground up, even though he just had lost. And you had all these people. I mean, it wasn't just AOC, but it was lots and lots of young people who even supported him in 2016 running for office. I know you were in earlier than that, but can you talk about this explosion of progressive energy around the country?
Right, and you know what? And I have to commend him on doing that, because a lot of times in defeat, you sort of take a back seat and you don't really want to deal with any of the political realm. But I think him coming out and just speaking to young people and encouraging them, look, this change is not just going to come from me, it's going to come from all of us. And I think that helped resonate with a lot of those young people who ran for office. We've got young people across the country who have won seats who are progressives, who are socialists, if they want to call them that. These are young people who care about fighting for people and fighting for causes. And that's what we need here in this country. We need individuals who want to fight for people, not about power, not about position, and definitely not about money.
Talk about in your community, because Cleveland has been decimated by gentrification, deindustrialization, Akron not far behind. Talk about what you've been seeing in your community that you think, I mean, he's not a magician, but a President Sanders can start to revitalize some of these depressed communities.
Right. I think once he's able to, take on the role of our next president of the United States, I think his plans for climate change and renewable energies and talking about those things that can help those farmers, help those people who live in urban communities where factories have closed, and helping them come back, to the auto industry. Right now, the big surge going on in the state of Ohio is Amazon. They're everywhere. We're getting ready to open one right in Akron, in the city where I am at. And you know, a lot of people are upset about the tax breaks and the tax cuts. And I think we got to do a better job of making sure that they pay their fair share. I mean, they are bringing jobs into a community that has been decimated, but we got to work on them making sure they pay their fair share of taxes.
So you're a lot nicer than I am. I call Amazon economic terrorists. I really do. I think Jeff Bezos is an economic terrorist. He just bought a house or mansion, 25 bathrooms, I think it was. I was in Seattle. I went to cover the homelessness there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not against companies doing well. I'm not against somebody like Jeff Bezos doing well. But when a man fights kicking and screaming to make sure that a head tax was proposed in Seattle, small pennies to Amazon, $250 an employee at Amazon, that would help take those homeless people, a lot of them on the streets because of the gentrification, the out-of-control rents. And it's not just
Well, the rent up there is ridiculous. Between Seattle and San Francisco, no one can afford to live there unless you're in that 1% now. Just to watch how it's been gentrified up there, but that's going on across the country. And homelessness is taking on its own life. And when you have companies and corporations like that who are making that kind of money, do your fair share. Especially in places where you're making the money the exorbitant amount of money that his company is making, you can afford to do a little more than what you're doing. The one thing that I've noticed in Ohio, we have medical marijuana now. So what we did was we talked to those different companies and we made them promise to do economic incentives for those communities. So you have to have some kind of community incentive there, and they made commitments to us that maybe every quarter they put $50,000 into this economic incentive. So now we have a pot of money that we can help those individuals in that neighborhood where you're making millions of dollars because you're a dispensary or because you're cultivating now. And this should be the same for an Amazon. If you're in a community, there has to be some kind of economic incentive there, not just for the council who may have voted it in or a mayor who signed it into law. What about those individuals living in tents or those individuals living under a bridge or living by railroad tracks? What's the incentive to try to help with our homeless population? And I think that's the part where there's a lot of disconnect because they don't understand it. They don't get that part of it because they live in a different world than you and I live in. And so we got to do a better job at that. But I think Senator Sanders is just the person to do that. I need more of these 1%ers to be a little bit more like Tom Steyer. He says he should pay more in taxes. Now, how many millionaires or billionaires are going to actually admit they should pay higher taxes? He's the only one I've heard ever say that.
Well, you know what's also interesting? I mean, you're definitely not old enough. I'm not. But in the 1950s and 60s, from the history I've read, employees bragged about how many jobs they created, right? Employers, really, it was like a race. Like, well, I hired X amount of people. Now it's a race. Well, I made this much profit this quarter with this little overhead. It's really workers and human beings over the last 40 years have really been moved to numbers on a balance sheet rather than human beings. And I think that's why people are gravitating to Bernie because he talks about human rights rather than just the policies, but about the government is there for people rather than, it seems like Joe Biden, the Bloombergs, the government is there to cultivate for the businesses.
When they say overhead, they mean people. So when you're saying, like, for example, in our community, they're now installing these machines that takes your payment when you leave from a parking day. That's a person's job you just took. So it's more about you guys saving on a contract and saving the city money, and you're not worried about the individual who has a family to take care of that's probably only making $8 an hour. So I think we have to be very mindful of those individuals, but we have to actually have a conscience to say this is not how we're supposed to operate here in this country. It's okay if you have to pay somebody to be at a parking meter and accept that cash from someone and not replace them with a computer. This is what's happening in our grocery chains across the country, and that's why you see so many stores closing down, so many retail stores going out of business. You got online, so we get rid of people. We got computers, now we're getting rid of more people. So I'm hoping that we'll see a big turn once Senator Sanders is president because he understands, he gets it, he cares about people. I can't speak for the other candidates, but I can speak for him because I've been on this journey since 2015, and he really cares, and I think that's what people want to see. When you can walk into a room and you see people from the ages of 18 to 80, that tells you a lot about that person. And I think that we're there now in this country, and we're ready for it.
So last question, because I know you got to go. By the way, we got 850 people watching, so press that like button. Spread this like wildfire. The energy here is amazing. So all I hear from very, very privileged, out-of-touch pundits in studios in New York and D.C. is, well, you can't win Ohio with a radical, socialist. We need a moderate. And I say, but wait a minute. I covered the campaign in 2016. I was at rallies for Trump in Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Sorry to tell you, it was not Putin, it was NAFTA. He had them at NAFTA. Yes. So to me, these areas of the country that you're from, some of these blocks look like an episode of The Walking Dead. Yeah. Closed down plants, closed down storefronts.
Third world countries is what they look like. And I tell you, Ohio is primed for Senator Sanders to win this. In 2018, I ran for lieutenant governor with former Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich is the only person as progressive as Senator Sanders. And we went through that community. We talked to people who supported Trump, who now want something different because they feel like promises were broken. And those are the people that we're making those contacts with and having those conversations with. Those are people who are now have a Sanders sign in their yard. So they understand what it's going to take to see this small business farmer to be able to, bring his farmhouse back up to the way it was instead of these big conglomerates that they're putting in all of these rural areas. And it only happens when you elect somebody like Senator Sanders. You can't elect someone and think they're going to care about people when all their donors are corporations and big donors.
And also, the media is hiding this. This is really, really a big deal, but the media won't talk about it. Donald Trump, there was an audio tape where he was with Lev Parnas, this Rudy Giuliani's associate. Whatever, after they were done being corrupt about that, Donald Trump was talking about the 2016 election. And he said, actually, the only person I was worried about that Hillary Clinton might pick as vice president was Bernie Sanders. And he said, because he's been right on trade, and Donald Trump, he's a despicable man, but he's a smart politician, knew trade is one of the top issues because you're talking about people's livelihoods that people used to be able to afford, to support their family. You could have 2 cars. Maybe both of you didn't have to work all the time, both parents. Their jobs were sent to other countries. So it seems like Trump is scared of him based on the tape. But the media says, these super PACs are saying a socialist won't win in Michigan and Wisconsin.
Let's back up a little bit. They keep calling him a socialist. Let's talk about party affiliation here really quick before I cap off here.
Preach.
Mike Bloomberg was a Republican mayor who supported George Bush, spoke at the RNC, was one of their keynote speakers, supported the war. Now he's a Democrat running for president who the DNC just took money from to allow him on the stage that you told Booker, Harris, Gabbard, and Castro they didn't qualify for. Elizabeth Warren used to be a Republican. She's a Democrat now. So why is it okay that these individuals all switched parties? And it's okay that we're out here supporting them and that our DNC is supportive of them, but you guys keep saying, well, he's not a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. You know what? He's a people person, and that's what matters to us. He cares about people. No one cares whether he's an independent or a Democrat. What we know is he cares about people, and he's never been a Republican like some of the other ones running.
My last question might ruffle your feathers a little bit. I hear you're very good friends with one Nina Turner.
I am.
There's a lot of people around the country that tell me, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but tell me that she'd just be one hell of a vice president. I'm sure you have some intel, but what do you think about the good Nina Turner? Because I think she's perfect to be as vice president, but more importantly, I think people respond to inspiration. A lot of people are inspired by Bernie. A lot of people were inspired by Obama. I think he was kind of full of it on a lot of things, but this woman knows how to bring out that. I'm not a religious person, but when I see her, I'm ready to go to church. Do you envision her in a Sanders administration?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll see.
You're being sly. You don't want to get in trouble. So tell everybody again who you represent in Akron, and what are the issues that people should get involved if they're watching from around there?
Right. So I am a councilwoman in the city of Akron, home of LeBron James, as everyone should know. I think that it is important that people know that Senator Sanders speaks to our issues. If you are a student or was a college student who is bogged down with college debt, Senator Sanders is your guy. This is someone who is going to relieve us of this overhead of college debt, $1.6 trillion, I believe it is. You want to kickstart the economy, you do it with that. Instead of sending money to a war, use that money to help these young people and us older people get a kickstart back in life instead of worrying about these high interest loans that we took off just trying to have a better life and have a better education. And Medicare for all. I have private insurance, but my deductibles are so ridiculous at this point. I'm okay with a Medicare for all. I would rather pay $2,000 more a year in taxes than having to worry about all the deductibles if I go to a specialist and getting bill after bill in the mail. And I think these are the things that we really have to start thinking about in layman terms. Do you have student loan debt? Did your taxes get taken this year because of your student loan debt? If it did, then Senator Sanders is your guy. If you have no insurance or have high deductibles, Senator Sanders is your guy. We want somebody there that's not going to cut Social Security but expand it. No senior citizen should have to live on $13,000 a year. And you know how that changes? When we elect Senator Sanders our next president of the United States.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a good one. Yeah. So, hey there, Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
What's your name?
Haley. My name's Haley.
Come on, we're live. Hold on, let me see. We got people coming up. All right, we got 1,000 people watching, so keep pressing that like button. The super chat, if you're feeling super. By the way, if you don't know, it's pretty damn expensive to go around the country, particularly to cover the campaign. So if you're not a Status Coup member yet, not only do you support us by being a member, you also get great behind-the-scenes content. Sign up. We're 90 members away from 1,000. We want to get to 1,000 by the New Hampshire primary. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up for as low as $5 a month. Haley, where are you from?
I'm from Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas. I drove here to volunteer with my friend.
Bernie Sanders won Kansas by 32 points, if memory serves me.
Counties, all of the counties, I'm pretty sure he won. Well, not all of them, but very many. Yeah, I was there. I was a part of it then.
So tell me, you come from Kansas. There's so many people here from so many states. What's at stake for you? If Bernie wins here, if he becomes the nominee, if he becomes president, what's on the table for you that would be benefiting?
Well, obviously, I work. Well, not obviously, but I do work in the restaurant industry, and so like $15 minimum wage. The climate, obviously, everything's at stake, actually. I mean, I'm for every single policy that he has. So Medicare for All has been big for me since 2015. That's when I started following him. But now there's just so much other policies that he's implemented or that he's trying to implement and talking about that have just like inspired me, and like you have inspired me. People like, Kyle Kulinski, Status Coup, Young Turks, all the progressives. Justice Democrats, I'm with the movement, everything. I'm ready for us to win. So,
It's interesting to me and kind of infuriating to me, like the New York Times endorsement, which I hope you didn't read. Yeah, but they frame things like, well, there's the radical movement and then there's the realist, and they make it seem like the realist position is to have like health insurance premiums go up 20%, which last year private insurance fees went up 20%. They make it seem like, the planet burning to the ground, well, we can't be radical and try to stop that. Like, to me, the realist position would be doing what every other country does, Medicare for all, like really free public college. Why is it okay for K through 12 to be free? I mean, you pay for it in your taxes, but whatever. Right. But why are these things radical? And I could only come to the point they're radical because it threatens their profits, the establishment's profit.
Exactly. I mean, I'm 100% with you there. I don't understand why we can't have free college and why we don't have free college, but I'm going to do everything I can to fight for that. So
Let's talk about Kansas, actually. Bernie won a lot of red states in the primaries in 2016. He won Kansas, he won Montana. Oh, there's the Bernie bus. He won Kansas, he won Montana, he won Nebraska, he won Wyoming, Idaho, North Dakota, West Virginia, name a few. So Kansas is a red state in the general election. But I feel, and Bernie's gone around the country to many red states, there's a lot of Republicans who are like closet progressives, and they just don't know it. They've been kind of brainwashed by Fox News and, kind of the media, but on the issues, I mean, there's some polls where Medicare for All was polling as high as 50% among Republicans. Do you think that a state like Kansas could be in play if Bernie was the nominee?
I would like to think so. I am from a small town that is actually a very Catholic town, and so a lot of times when I go back to that town, I try to talk to people about policies and just how they feel about the economy and things like that, rather than mentioning like my candidate or their candidate, because I have a lot of Trump supporting people who are my friends, and I don't want to like force the Bernie narrative on them. So instead I'll use things like, well, don't you think that we should have Medicare for all? Don't you think that like we deserve to be able to just pay into something that's going to take care of us? Like, I can't go to the doctor. I haven't had insurance since I was 18 years old. I was on Medicaid, and I don't, my parents didn't have insurance. I don't have family, so it's like I didn't get that for 26. I wasn't benefited by the ACA either. So for me, it's like I grew up really poor, and so I try to talk with my friends that are more on the conservative side just about policy and about who they actually feel or what they feel like we need to do in order to move forward from where we are in the country right now. So I think that it's helpful, but they're still really reluctant, and it's like something I want to do. Like, I'd want to go home and canvass in Kansas and like knock on doors and talk to people, because there's a lot of conservative counties, but like you said, they aren't sure that they don't know that they're Bernie supporters, but they are, because we are for the people, and it really is like about us and like moving this country in the direction that we want to go, like as a whole. And so I hope so. I hope that Kansas, if Bernie's the nominee, I think he will have that shot. Yeah, it's only like, 4 votes in the Electoral College, but still, like, that would feel so good, like, for me and all my friends, and like to see that happen. Like,
honestly, for you, like, why this is real for you. You seem like a young woman, so like, if you don't have insurance, like, what happens if, God forbid, like, you fall down the stairs later,
right,
or something happens?
Right.
You could be bankrupted by whatever medical bill you incur. And there's so many people, like, I'm on Cobra right now, which is ridiculously expensive. Thank God, I'm lucky. Mama Sheridan, if you're watching, she's been helping out.
Yeah.
But once my Cobra's up, Obamacare in New York is like $800 a month for like a semi-decent plan. So it's like, whether the Republicans sabotage it or not, the point is, I was interviewing an older gentleman yesterday who's a moderate. He's on Medicare.
Yep.
I wish I would have asked him, like, why should you have Medicare but I shouldn't?
Right.
Really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Why should you have it but I shouldn't? We're all Americans. So it seems like that. My father, for example, God bless you, loves Trump. Loves Trump.
Really?
He's a little deranged, but he loves Trump.
Yeah.
So but when I speak with him, like on the issues, he actually leans progressive. And I'm like, stop watching Fox News for 10 days, and we'll do intensive therapy, because he's not so against the whole universal health care. So I think there is a lot of Trump voters, like you're saying, that are open to it. You need to speak their language.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Getting there is not going to be easy, but we have to like come together and fight. And I think that the progressive movement is just every single day it's consolidating more and more, and we're like doing a really great job. I feel like so fucking good about like, what I have come to from the age of like 22 when I started getting into politics to now. I've been watching stuff every day, following all the time, talking to every person I see. I wear these Bernie earrings to work all the time. Old people come in, and I work as like a counter service restaurant. I talk to people, you know, and I just feel like, I don't know, it's really important to me that I keep talking about it, even if it's just in my town, or, you know, because I'm from Lawrence, so that's it's the, you know, little bit of blue and a sea of red. We're the little island, so it's a lot easier to like get like-minded people in that town. But like I said, when I go out of the town, it feels good to at least be a part of it. So,
Final question. You know, there's a lot of people watching that are a little nervous because the DNC looks like it's up to its old tricks. You know, they're changing the requirements for Michael Bloomberg.
yeah.
So, and you know, a lot of people are worried just even on the night of. I mean, Bernie's campaign is very, very organized this time around, but they're worried, like, it's like, how do you trust that lover that cheated on you, you know? What do you think? Obviously, like, we don't know what's going to happen, but what are the volunteers you're speaking to, and how do you feel? Even if he wins, it seems like he's got to win by a lot just to overcompensate for whatever they try to do to cheat.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. But the volunteers here have been amazing, and every single person that I've met has just been like, I don't know, I guess I do agree that we do need to, like, but I don't think we have to win by a lot. We just need to get that voter turnout, and it's like, yes, young people do need to get out and caucus, canvass, and work really hard for it, but I mean, winning now is just the start of like what we need to continue to win. We need to get, you know, in Congress, we need to get more progressives. We have to fight for everyone locally. Like, everyone needs to get out and vote in their home cities every time an election comes around. But yeah, the volunteers that I've met have been so like amazing and just like positive and working really hard, canvassing all day long. Every day they've been here, it's incredible. I mean, the doors have been knocked 4 times over, you know what I mean? Like, people got sent home early yesterday, so I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I don't even know. These days are long for me too. But thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. We're good? Okay. Hold on. 1 second. Where are my car keys? How much percentage is on the live view? Okay. So, want to come on in? Well, you got to take a picture over here because I'm live. Yeah. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Good. Final status coup.
Cool.
Oh, wait, hang on. That was not a good picture. Keep it up.
Nice. So, we'll get some more people as we go. Let's see. Hey, Jeremy White's here. How you doing? We're live. Let's talk. So this is Jeremy White of Bernie's Coffee Shop. Oh, we got 1,100 people watching, so this is very exciting. Keep smashing that like button. Keep spreading it. I'm kind of shocked that we have this many people watching during the Super Bowl. I guess this is more important. Remember, folks, press that like button. Also, keep the Super Chats coming in. It's not cheap to report in the field, so we really appreciate your support. Who?
I will clear out.
Great.
For that.
Thank you. Also, if you haven't signed up, statuscoup.com/join, become a member for as low as $5 a month.
Worth it.
So, let me ask you. I know that everybody's excited here, but I got to tell you, these DNC shenanigans. I mean, you're a lifer. You were there during 2016. I mean, suddenly the poll doesn't come out last night because Pete Buttigieg is complaining that one person was asked who they support without Pete Buttigieg being an option. I don't think that the gold standard of polling would cancel their poll over one instance. I'm not a conspiracy theorist I'm not a conspiracy theorist either. I don't know what the poll was, but I know that that's not a credible reason. You got the DNC before the Iowa caucus changing their rules when it just came out that they told Mike Gravel's campaign, we can't change it for anybody. So,
And Booker, and yeah.
So my question is, as excited as people here are, it looks like it's like Game of Thrones. It looks like the White Walkers are coming, man.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's like Cersei Lannister's behind the scenes somewhere with a Neera Tanden mask on. It's the same stuff, but the one difference is the numbers on our side we had crazy energy in 2016, but there's just more. There's more involved now. There's a bigger swell of support. There's a bigger donor base, volunteer base. That is what I hope will get us through this, because there's no question there's going to be voter suppression. There's going to be tricks. There's going to be whatever they can do to disparage us, to discourage us, to cheat us. We've seen it. We know it's happening. But they can only, there's like a percentage that kind of subterfuge can overcome, and if we can cross that threshold, then we can still win, even if it's eking out a win and not getting the true landslide that we know we deserve. We know that the people really want. Bernie's always underrepresented in these polls because they never call independents, and he has a huge independent, support base. So it's just, of course, the poll came out. It probably showed him in a massive lead, and they're going to try to pull some fuckery, excuse my language, tomorrow, and they can't have that be like a pre-exit poll type, confirmation that, oh yeah, the numbers are way off from what the polling was. So that's kind of what I think is.
It's interesting to me too, because this ain't my first rodeo, so I'm able to read the tea leaves. Yeah. A story came out a couple hours ago that John Kerry was overheard. John Kerry, who, by the way, I was covering a Biden event yesterday. John Kerry spoke for a half hour praising Joe Biden. John Kerry was overheard saying he might get into the race to stop Bernie Sanders. Basically, he was overheard saying, in case Biden falters, he might get into the race. So you have all these things happening. Biden is shrinking his lead in national polls. The DNC before Iowa is opening up the floodgates for Bloomberg's. To me, my gut, Biden's internal polling is not good. The DNC doesn't want to go the way of the Never Trumpers. They don't want to wait too late to choose someone to rally around. Bizarrely, if they do this, they're idiots, are going to rally around Michael Bloomberg? And John Kerry might jump in. Who's going to jump in next? Joe Lieberman?
Yeah, right. I mean, Hillary herself.
Hey, don't you say that. Yeah. It might come true.
It might. Well, we'll just have to call Rashida up then. No, it's crazy. There's nothing they'll stop at. There's no low that they won't sink to try to win this, because at the end of the day, they don't care about the policies. They don't care about the platform. They don't care about...
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy is tall, but my cameraman went to the car to get something, so that's why you're only seeing half of his head, because I don't have a cameraman. However...
I can frame it up.
Your wish is my command. Yeah, we're doing a lot of things at once. So Jamal had to run to the car to get a cord. So I think they could see you now. Okay. Continue.
All right. So, yeah, there's no low that they won't sink to, because they don't care about the people. They don't care about the platform or the policies. They care about winning. They care about maintaining the status quo because it works for them. And it's not working for the American people. And that's why Bernie's numbers are surging, because what he espouses works for the American people. Plain and simple. He's speaking to the people. He's speaking to the struggles that they face every day, and they never have and never will. So, they have to try to destroy him. They have to try to stop him. It's going to be 68 all over again, I think, if they succeed in any way in stopping Bernie, regardless of what the voters think. We're not going to play again.
Can I ask you a question? Because I covered 2016. As great as 2016 was, I mean, the energy is much higher this time. I mean, you have. I have not met a volunteer from Iowa yet. I've only met people from other states. I've met people from California, Arizona, New York, Chicago. I mean, everywhere. It seems like the organizing that Bernie's campaign has done after he lost, 2016, but 2017, 2018, 2019. Is starting to pay off now. And a lot of people were dejected in 2016, but it's almost like that loss is why the surge is happening, because they learned lessons from then.
It's why the surge is happening, but it's also why just that seasoned, tempered, experienced kind of vibe is coming through now. We have experienced a lot, not just in 2016, but since then. Like you said, Bernie never stopped and his army never stopped. It just kept growing. It kept like he wasn't running for office anymore, but we're all driving around with Bernie stickers on our cars and trying to do good deeds around our communities, and that matters. Like, people start to notice. So you start to plant those seeds, and then they start growing come the next time around, and that's what you're seeing right now. It's huge. There's so much support for him because he doesn't pander, he doesn't lie, he's not trying to buy people's vote. He's not, you know, like the concert last night, he could have gotten that many people without Vampire Weekend there. It was icing on the cake, really, that they were there playing that show, but he draws those numbers all over the country. So, yeah, I think that it is much stronger now. You know, I told Ty last time I was on with him that it's less exuberant, but way less naive as well. And I think that's going to be really important to actually pull out a win this time.
Let me ask you about your neck of the woods. Barely gets any coverage, but like Los Angeles, like the homelessness is out of control in Los Angeles, just like Seattle, San Francisco, Portland. I think last year it went up 20% or something like that in LA. I might have the number wrong, but it went up a lot. Yeah. And this is all happening all around the country, yet the media keeps telling us the economy's wonderful, the economy's booming, the stock market, GDP, all these terms that really mean nothing to average people. And by the way, the homeless people, a lot of these homeless people are you and me. Like, they're formerly middle-class people that missed one or two paychecks or got fired and didn't have any savings that are now sleeping in their car. It's not like the caricature of like the dirty drunk. It's middle-class people. Can you kind of talk about what you're seeing where you're from?
Yeah, so, you know, a friend of mine, an activist, went to Stanford, and I was up there seeing the RVs ringing, like lining the edge of the campus, and those were students going to Stanford, living in RVs because they couldn't afford the housing. I mean, it's crazy how this is happening. This is an epidemic in this country. That 20% increase is just what was reported, and just imagine trying to do a census on homeless people. You can't. There's people that aren't out in tents on the sidewalk. They're living in their cars. They're sleeping at friends' houses. It's not like this thing you can just look at and point at and get verifiable data. So that number is way understated.
Middle-class Joe will take care of it.
Yeah, no, middle-class Joe, he has no empathy, remember? No empathy for the millennials and their plight, you know? Come on, give me a break.
Wait. He said, Joe Biden, I don't remember the year, said, give me a break. Yep. Give me a break, the millennials.
Yeah, so that's why he's not polling well with them, you know? It's like Hillary calling Bernie people basement dwellers and then expecting us to come and support her for some reason. Even though many did because they saw the problem with Trump. At the end of the day, she didn't. There's a difference. Look, I'm an organizer. There's a difference between throwing your life in the back seat to go and push and fight with your all for a candidate and just going to the ballot and putting a check on a box, right? Like, to really support a candidate for me means that I have to die hard, really believe in what they are fighting for. And Bernie's the only one in the race that I feel that way about. That's why the Bernie or Bust movement came about, because like there's no viable alternative. Even this time around, like Tulsi's got some good points, Yang has some good points, Buttigieg is CAA for sure. But there's no other route that really gives the people what they need, and that's obvious. So,
can I just ask you a question? And can I ask you, the audience, a question? 1,200 people watching. Press that like button, thumbs up button right under the video. Super chat. We love you. Can you imagine if Bernie Sanders' campaign complained to the Des Moines Register that we got a call that someone was called by your pollsters, and that person, your pollster, asked them who they support, but didn't include Bernie. Can you imagine what the Des Moines Register would do? In my opinion, not only would they release the poll, but they would create a hit piece out of it at Bernie Sanders. So to me, and there's a lot of theories going around, I don't have any intel of what the poll results were. My gut is Bernie was doing well, but there's just too many like weird things going on that it doesn't feel weird. It feels like intentional. Yeah. Why would they not release a poll? Because of one instance. All these polls at the bottom, it says all polls are subject to human and technical error. Yeah. So it's not just about the poll.
It's not like they're putting themselves in hot water. Like they're totally released from liability by that little saying at the end. Show me proof. Anyone out there, show me a receipt of Bernie once complaining about a poll not including him or calling him other or just completely denigrating him in some way. He doesn't go out there and complain about that because he's got an army of over 1 million volunteers and millions of supporters to come out and cry foul. Buttigieg doesn't have that kind of support. His campaign actually had to complain, and I mean it's just like a corporate media just synergy that you're seeing with his campaign. Not so much Biden's. I think that they're seeing the writing on the wall with Biden. I think that they're ready to throw him to the wolves and look for a new alternative. I just tweeted like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, great.
Pete Buttigieg has less black support than Trump. That's true. He has less support in the black community than Trump does, and that's terrifying. So, like, you want to talk about electability? Like, what does that mean? So, anyway, we're back to the poll thing. No, they would eviscerate him. They would put out a hit piece. They would use it to discredit us. The K-Hive and Donut Twitter folks would come out swinging on Twitter, but you know, he doesn't do that, and it kind of shows. Like, the voters are going to see this. They're going to see Buttigieg pulling these tricks, and they don't respect that. So,
thank you, Jeremy.
Of course, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Absolutely. Come on in.
How's it going?
What's your name, sir?
My name is Ash Kalra.
Ash Kalra. Unite.
I am a state assembly member from California, San Jose.
Another California person. San Jose is very close to San Francisco, I believe.
Yeah, our smaller city to the north.
Okay. I was just talking to a few people because gentrification is, I only hear it from Bernie. He's the only one that actually mentions the word gentrification. But to me, this election is all about the cognitive dissonance, you know? There's a cognitive dissonance between the people that are on CNN, MSNBC, columnists, and like people that are like on the receiving end of this gentrification. Can you kind of talk about what are you seeing in your community and why somebody like Bernie would be the person to really alleviate that pain?
Well, where I live in Silicon Valley, it has the most egregious income inequality in the nation. So when you talk about gentrification, the Bay Area is really ground zero. And so the issue of gentrification is more than just displacement. It's really the issue of moving out communities that have built the Silicon Valley, that have built the Bay Area, and telling them that they don't belong anymore. It is that severe. And so Bernie is resonating with our community, certainly in San Jose, because he's speaking to the people that are really struggling. He's not talking to the tech bros and those that are making a fortune. He's talking to those that are in my district, living 2-3 families in a home in the shadow of these tech giants.
And Congressman Ro Khanna represents this district. And what's amazing is Mark Zuckerberg, it just came out, not a fan of Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Surprise.
Mark Zuckerberg has had dinners with Trump, and you know, so a lot of these Silicon Valley folks have Amazon as well. I covered the homelessness in Seattle. It's an epidemic. Kind of talk about, because the Democratic Party and all the pundit wizards tell us, but we also have to be realists. We can't be. We understand that, you know, the radical position, but that won't play in Michigan. It won't play in Wisconsin. It won't play. And like, I don't know, Trump won as an anti-trade Republican and a lot of progressive things. He didn't mean any of it, but is this true that these progressive policies are not popular in the Midwest and other parts of the country?
No, it's false. In fact, they have not been to working class neighborhoods in Michigan or Wisconsin or in California. Because if they have, they'll realize that this game that they're playing, it's got to come to an end. Because for decades, they've been saying the same thing. Oh, it won't work in the Midwest. It won't work with these certain voters. It won't work to win elections. And while they're doing that, they're robbing us blind. And so as they say that, they still support, you know, blank checks for war. They still support major tax cuts. They still support the banking industry that is putting our students into debt and taking homes away from hardworking families. So if that's the inevitable, I don't want to be in that world. I want the inevitable that says our kids are going to go to college, that we're going to lift up working families, and that we're going to make these filthy rich people pay.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the empty check, blank check for war. During this whole Soleimani issue, I tweeted out a couple times, I still haven't heard them ask, how much is this going to cost?
Never. They didn't ask how much that's going to cost. They don't ask when it comes to, they only ask when it comes to the issues that lift people up. When it comes to healthcare, education, when it comes to really making sure that people have what they need to survive. And I'm being in Silicon Valley. One of the craziest things is that it's become this kind of point of pride that you have to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week, and that somehow that's the way life should be, that it's normal. What happened? We were the ones that set the standard in this nation. 40-hour work week, having time to spend with your family, having time to go on a vacation, having resources, being able to send your kids to college and to buy a home. And now we've let these corporatists completely flip the script, and they've completely changed what it means to be American. We have to take that back.
And so let me ask you about specifically, because I was at a Joe Biden event yesterday, which much different. And, Biden, he spent 20 minutes without talking about a policy. He spent 20 minutes just, Trump is the Antichrist, Trump is awful, threw in some Russia stuff. And it's like, this was Hillary Clinton's campaign. I mean, there was slogans, stronger together, now it's restore the soul of America. I think Trump is awful too, but we've already seen that doesn't inspire enough people to come out against him.
Unfortunately, this is the game plan for far too many Democrats. Trump's horrible, Trump's terrible. Well, yes, of course. That's like the first sentence out of your mouth. What about the next 5 paragraphs? What are you going to do to actually uplift our community? Because as much as Trump is horrible, the status quo before Trump that created the income inequality, that created the environment that allowed Trump to come into power, that's what we have to get rid of. So yes, of course, we got to get rid of this monster Trump. Senator Sanders talks about it all the time, how dangerous this man is. We all agree on that. That's not a campaign. That's common sense. A campaign is, now what are you going to do once Trump's gone? What are you going to do to change the status quo, to actually uplift our community? What are you going to do to change the last 30, 40 years of going after workers, of making it harder for young people, making it harder for seniors? We have more first-time homeless that are seniors than ever before. It's a disgrace. It's the antithesis of what makes a great country. We really do have to take care of our people. And that's what the establishment's afraid of, is because people are figuring it out. These slogans, these regular campaigns with these very fluffy, without lack of policy campaign statements, it's not going to work anymore. But people are figuring it out.
Thank you so much. Assemblyman
Aish Kalra.
Aish Kalra. Thank you. So I'm sorry if I mispronounced. Thank you so much. Want to come on in?
I'm not on staff.
Oh, okay. No problem. Okay. Awesome. Great. Oh, I know. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Great to see you. Okay. Awesome. So, wow, it's like hard to even construct full sentences right now because the energy is just, it's really out of control. I'm kind of curious what the score is. The Chiefs are winning. The Chiefs are winning. So, you're basically hearing similar stories from all the folks that we interview. And what's really stands out to me from everybody you interview, it's like a sleeping bear has just been awoken. It's like all these people that for so long have just felt hopeless about politics. All these people that for so long have just kind of felt like, they're all deadbeats. Nobody's going to try to help me. They're all full of it. All these people, not just young people, but even the older people that support Bernie, they actually feel like, oh no, we could actually beat the corporate Goliath. And that's a really powerful feeling when you have that. And I think that regardless of the results tomorrow night, I mean, a bear has been poked. A bear has been awoken. And it's really, really a special thing to see. I mean, I don't hide that I support Bernie, but it's just incredible, putting aside Bernie, it's really incredible to see all these people finally have hope. Obama sold hope and change, and a lot of people were hoodwinked, but people know, like, this is real hope, because Bernie ain't messing around. He might not get everything he wants, but he's going to die trying if he gets elected, and I think that's why the people here feel so strongly. Let me see if I can get more people. Oh, by the way, how many people do we have watching right now? Wow, 1,400 people. Holy cow. 1,400 people. Keep pressing that like button. Statuscoup.com/join. Do I have any takers to come on live? We got 1,400 people. How you doing? We're Facebook friends.
We're Facebook friends, and we're also friends on LinkedIn, Jordan.
Wonderful.
Nice to meet you in person. Finally, I'm
Awesome.
from Indiana.
Wonderful. You're live. So, okay. So, something I was just telling the audience. I mean, I covered 2016. It was very energetic and awesome, but it was a little disorganized. I'm not going to lie. Probably because Bernie's campaign was very David versus Goliath. But I went to 2 volunteer offices today, and it's like a professional machine, And even I followed a young woman around as she was canvassing and interviewed her after she would knock on doors. And it's like the lists are on, just everything's spot on. And then I look at I was at a Biden event yesterday, and it's like a bus breaking down. It's really different. How do you feel? You've been knocking on doors. I don't know if you. What have you been hearing? And is the energy you're seeing here? Are you seeing people responsive to Bernie's message?
Yeah, actually, definitely been seeing anyone who is leaning Bernie is pumped and ready to go, and they're like, we know our caucus location, we're ready to go, we're bringing the whole family, we've got everyone, we're waiting, we're ready to go. And the people that I've gotten some Pete supporters, and they've been kind of
Are they CIA?
Well, for legal reasons, this is a joke. They've been kind of unenthusiastic. I've kind of asked them, is there an issue that you really like Pete's position on? No, he sounds kind of smart, And so I've made sure to let all of those folks know that in the event that Pete does not hit the viability threshold, they might want to have a second choice candidate in mind. And then they're always kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. And so that I'll make my plug for Bernie and bring up the fact that he is creaming Trump in the polls, because that's the one issue that voters have told me. We just printed a bunch of these up at Office Max. The one issue that people have named is that they really just need to get Trump out of there. So that's a really good. That's a good thing to hear if you're a supporter of Bernie Sanders, because he's doing so well against Trump in battleground states and swing states. So,
see, it would kind of drive me nuts to be in your position. I couldn't knock on doors because you have to be positive, and it's like you're not supposed to bash the other candidates. You're supposed to, just reposition it and get back to why Bernie is great. But if somebody talked about Pete to me, I'd be like, do you know any black people, or, you paid attention to the police cover-ups, this and that. So it's interesting when you're knocking on doors, you have to kind of put your Bernie bro and girl hat down and be more diplomatic, I guess.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm very diplomatic, as most people who know me know that I am. And, you just kind of lay out all the issues, and listen to them. It's important to find out what people are concerned about. And then, sort of let them know why Bernie is the one who is proposing the best solutions to a lot of the issues they're concerned about, and it's just a matter of connecting with people. And I really enjoy canvassing, and I think most people who come out here, I came all the way from Indiana, she came all the way from Texas, and we're fighting for our country, literally. And I think the people we talked to, they've had people come before, they told me yesterday that I was the 4th time the Bernie person has come by, and so we're not giving up, they're seeing how passionate we are and that we're fighting all the way to the end. So.
By the way, I'll say it, you guys don't have to. It is so fakakta that Iowa has this much influence over the nation. But that's a discussion for another day, but it's ridiculous. Let me ask you, because, again, we keep being told, I'm seeing 2 to 3 times an hour ads from a Democrat for Israel super PAC. I like Bernie, but I don't think a socialist could win Michigan and Wisconsin. And all this messaging about what electability is and why a socialist won't win and this and that. And I'm just thinking, but he did win Michigan and Wisconsin in the primary. And Indiana. And Indiana. So it's do you get that response? I just don't think he could beat Trump because he's too far gone. And how do you respond to that?
I've gotten that response very rarely from usually, it has to be said, much older people who are really not engaged with politics outside of watching television, Fox News, that kind of thing. But yeah, as you pointed out, Bernie did amazingly in the Rust Belt. Bernie won Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana. and every single county in West Virginia, a state full of, coal miners, and I don't know who said this, but somebody somewhere once said, basically normal people will invent socialism on their own if you give them 5 minutes. And when Bernie has a chance to actually express his ideas in his own words, normal people respond to those. They see this is just common sense. This is just, these are the values that we grew up in. They're as American as apple pie. One really cool thing about the Rust Belt or the Midwest, a lot of people don't know, is that it used to have socialist mayors. Milwaukee was famous for having socialist mayors. The sewer socialists, who were just really good at bread and butter issues and being responsible with money. And this is not a foreign concept we're trying to kind of shoehorn into American politics. We have a history of this. So yeah, I mean, when you give people, a breakdown of, when they want to say, well, isn't that socialism? I usually come back and say, no, you already pay taxes. Don't you want to get a return on your investment? Don't you want your tax dollars to go into things that actually benefit you? Because that's something conservatives usually have a hard time with, is taxes. And so yeah, it's not usually hard to make that case to people.
You know what's interesting, and I've actually had this discussion with my lovely, lovely Trump deranged father. Love you, Larry. Because my father likes Trump, and I say to my dad, we already live in a socialist country. Bernie has talked about this, corporate socialism, and I think that contrast. If it was Bernie versus Trump, they're going to bring out the socialists. They're going to call him a communist, whatever. But you could literally point and be like, no, you like socialists. You like those tax breaks when you were a real estate developer in New York. You got everything for free. You didn't have to pay. Trump real estate didn't have to pay any taxes in New York. Is that capitalism? No, that's socialism, because we pay for that. When these companies and these plutocrats get tax breaks, well, the lost money has to come from somewhere. It comes from cutting food stamps, cutting this, cutting that. So what do you think about, we have socialist programs, but we also have something called corporate welfare, corporate socialism. It seems like Bernie would be the right candidate to bring that up against Trump.
He's absolutely the right candidate to bring it up against Trump. He's been doing it already for a long time. If you go back and you look at what happened in 2008, with the big financial crisis and the bailout, Bernie was speaking out against corporate welfare and socialism. If you remember, what happened, the American taxpayer had to bail out the crooks on Wall Street. No one was ever held accountable. No one was ever punished. And yet you can walk around many big major American cities and see homeless people all over the place. It's not acceptable. That's why I'm in this fight. I'm in this fight since 2007, 2008, 2009. And I'm still fighting because I am angry. I'm very upset with corporate welfare and corporate socialism. The rich taking as much as they can from the poor people and the middle class people. And then if we need help, all of a sudden they reverse course. Oh, that's socialism. Right now Trump wants to cut Medicaid and Medicare. That's outrageous. He wants to cut disability benefits for people. That's absolutely unacceptable. What you're going to have is a lot of people committing suicide because they won't be able to survive. In the richest country in the world, people can't survive? No way. We're going to fight until the end, and this time we're going to win. And things are going to change. Things are going to change. So yes, the billionaire class should be afraid. We're going to make some radical changes coming up soon, We didn't forget 2008. So it's coming. It's just taking us a little time.
All right. We're about 24 hours from the caucus, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. You got the first round of voting, then there's a second round of voting. It's all very convoluted. But most of the polls, the Des Moines Register is hiding its poll, but that's another story. Most of the polls are showing Bernie in the lead. But like we know, polls showed John Kerry wasn't in the lead in 2004. He won. So what do you think? Besides the polls, why do you think Bernie has a shot here? Is it the energy you're seeing amongst his supporters, or is it the response you're getting from knocking on doors?
Definitely the response I'm getting from knocking on doors. But if any faith whatsoever can be put in the usual factors that can be counted on to produce results, our ground game is incredible. Nobody has anything to match it. I saw a photo.
Because the media keeps saying Elizabeth Warren has the best ground game since the ground was invented.
I was just showing her a photo that popped up on Twitter earlier of a crowd outside a building, and they said, this isn't a rally. These are volunteers here at 9 a.m. outside a field office just ready to go out and knock doors, and it was massive. We've been bumping into people on the streets, crisscrossing each other in the streets of the cities that we've been in. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a primary election. Not everyone votes in those. In the United States, we have terrible voter turnout compared to other countries, but allowing for all of those factors, I absolutely think that the lead that we're seeing in the polls that Bernie has right now is justified by what we're seeing on the ground, yeah. And as we know, Bernie typically tends to outperform his polls because they undersample essentially his base. So, yeah.
Your thoughts on why you think Bernie has a shot here tomorrow?
Oh, he's definitely, I feel, going to take it tomorrow. I think the people here in Iowa, they realize the historical significance of tomorrow night. I mean, right now we have literally like the worst president in American history sitting in the White House. People here know it. They feel it. They want him out. And they're thinking, who is the guy who's going to be able to, get him out? That would be Bernie Sanders. If you look back at what happened in 2016, okay, the big mistake that the Democrats made was putting up an establishment candidate against a guy who was saying he was anti-establishment. That was what he was purporting to be, right? He was the Republican anti-establishment candidate. And then there was this battle, between establishment and anti-establishment. Of course, I predicted that was going to happen. I told people, I was a delegate in 2016. I told people, look, if she's the nominee, Trump will be president. I had nothing against Hillary Clinton. I wanted people to flip at the convention and nominate Bernie, but nobody listened to me, and other delegates too. So this time, I think people can see that we need to have someone who's anti-establishment come up there to go against him. A lot of the things he said he was going to do, he has not done at all for the working class people. People see it. He's a charlatan. He's actually a very good master manipulator. I'll give Trump credit. He is a master manipulator. Bernie Sanders is the real deal. He's genuine, he's compassionate, he's authentic. And I predict, if he's the nominee, which I believe he will be, that he is actually going to get a lot of Republicans coming over to vote for him. Because Republicans told me in 2016, had Bernie been the nominee, we would have voted for him.
Don't you tell CNN that. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah, CNN, they probably wouldn't want me on their show, I'm pretty sure. Not a chance, yeah. But Jordan, you're giving a voice to...
We're very happy to have you on Status Coup. Thank you for all your work, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. How you doing, sir? Hey, 1 second. So, here's the deal. When did you eat breakfast, Jamal? When's the last time you've eaten?
Huh?
When's the last time you've eaten?
I have not eaten since 10 a.m.
I have not eaten since 9 a.m. So we could continue to stay live and basically until we both break down because we're both very hungry. I have to pee for the last 2.5 hours, but that's a whole nother story. But I'm going to go for a couple more minutes, take your questions, comments, concerns. We got 1,500 people watching. 1,500 people watching. So definitely keep smashing that like button. Keep spreading the good gospel. Keep spreading the coup. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up as a member. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up as a member for as low as $5 a month. Do you see any corporate media doing this kind of journalism? I think not. Do you see any independent media out here? I don't see it. We are in the trenches. Jamal and I have been going hardcore for days and days and days. We're going to be going to New Hampshire next. Whatever happens here, we're going to New Hampshire, win or lose. And frankly, follow Status Coup because we've been doing a lot of other reporting that needs to be done. In Flint, Michigan, we've been to Seattle covering the homeless epidemic there. We were in Detroit and Ohio after General Motors laid off 15,000 people. We were in Dallas after a black man named Botham John was executed in his apartment. A police officer knocked on his door and shot him dead and then claimed, "I thought it was my apartment." We've been in so many places around this country because of you. And it is really as easy as joining us as a member. You could join as a member for as low as $5 a month. We have other plans too, but we're trying to do it. I don't want to say we're the Bernie of media, we're not, but we're trying to take that model of small dollar memberships to fund this reporting. So I hope if you have $5 a month, you'll consider signing up. Can I get my last interview here? Because we got to eat. We're a little hungry. What's your name?
I'm Sam Spadino.
Sam Spadino. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Wait a minute. Amy Klobuchar is from Minneapolis. And what drives me a little crazy about Amy Klobuchar, besides, do you know that Amy Klobuchar lobbied to make sure that frozen pizza remained classified as a vegetable? Do you know that?
I do know that.
Yes. Amy Klobuchar, because some of her donors were from the frozen food industry, there was a push to get frozen pizza out of school cafeterias so we would stop making our children obese. And she fought tooth and nail to make sure that the tomato sauce on frozen pizza was classified as a vegetable so that your kids could keep eating crap. I like frozen pizza, but I'm an adult. I don't think our children, the healthiest meal in their cafeterias should be frozen pizza. But that's another story.
Yeah, you're making her sound too good here. I mean, everybody loves frozen pizza.
All right, so what brought you in from Minnesota? What's at stake for you if Bernie were to, win here, win the nomination, possibly become president?
Well, everything's at stake. That's why I'm down here volunteering, knocking doors, making sure that we push him over the finish line here. A lot of people, don't understand the caucus system, but Minnesota used to have a caucus system. This year we've switched over to a primary, and you're already able to early vote. I already voted for Bernie, so I've got some time on my hands, so I'll come down to be a precinct captain as well tomorrow night at the caucus.
A lot of people are a little curious. There's an app, the Caucus app. That's being used here as well as in Nevada. To be clear, the app is not for actual voting. People aren't using the app to vote, but it's being used to send in results to the state party. I got an email today forwarded to me by one precinct chair that people were like, oh, the pin isn't working on my phone and things like that. We don't want to scare people unnecessarily, but do you have any concerns over this app being the way to communicate results?
Well, we always, anticipate shenanigans when it's everything's on the line. DNC does not want Bernie in there. It's pretty clear at this point. If you haven't gotten the hint from all the negative stories rolling out, they know where the race is at. They know that he's going to win. I just came from a Joe Biden event.
Were you at the one I was at?
I was at the one here in Des Moines.
Okay. How was that? Tell us.
It was uncomfortable. Let's just say that. They rolled out old white surrogate after old white surrogate.
John Kerry there?
He was there. However, there's a little news story that just popped up. They kept him off the stage.
They didn't let him go on stage?
No.
So if you don't know what he's talking about, I don't know, 2-3 hours ago, a story came out. John Kerry was overheard somewhere basically talking on the phone saying, well, I might get into this thing to stop Bernie. This is the guy who yesterday, Jamal and I drove 2 hours to cover Biden in North Liberty, Iowa. John Kerry was on stage for a half hour basically saying Joe Biden's the best thing since sliced bread. Meanwhile, he's on the phone elsewhere. Ultimate mean girl move, by the way. He's on the phone being like, I might need to get into this thing, because everybody has eyes and they see this train is starting to lose some parts if you're Biden's campaign.
Yeah, it feels like kind of the final cherry on top. Kerry was there, didn't bring him up on stage. He gave him a shout out, but I can tell they're in damage control mode right now because Kerry tweeted out a big, strong denial that also included the F word, which he deleted.
Wow.
He said, I'm absolutely not effing running for president. And then he put out a version that did not include. Okay. So, everything's going crystal clean and smooth over at Team Biden.
Have you been knocking on doors at all?
Yep.
So something that I find kind of interesting is Bernie volunteers I've spoken to, they talk to people, and some of these people like Pete, some of these people like Warren or whatever, but they all say I like Bernie. Everybody likes him. And one of the reasons that Hillary Clinton lost, you could scream sexism and sure that exists, was people didn't trust her and they didn't think she was authentic. So even people that are kind of like not right now for Bernie, they seem open to him. And it's just this corporate propaganda about we need a moderate to win that stops people. Have you met people that aren't for him, but when you explain the positions, they warm up a little?
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like even this morning on AM Joy, she spoke to a voter who was torn between Biden and Sanders. And she said, whoa, what do you mean? They're so different. But at the end of the day, I think people...
That's who I want talking to me, Joy Reid, if I'm torn. Joy Reid. We're still waiting for the FBI to report the results of your hacking, your blog being hacked.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who don't see the crossover appeal, but the talking points that Biden uses get people to think that he's on the side of the middle class, which at this point, we don't really have much of a middle class anymore, and people, are more concerned about the paycheck to paycheck class, and that's where Bernie hits home. So that's why you're not seeing major energy at his final campaign event. You're seeing people yelling at him from the crowd, like, don't take fossil fuel money. And I even asked Joe Biden on the January 1st at an event, you're running across this country. Do you honestly think you're running a better campaign than Hillary Clinton? Are we supposed to believe that this is the front runner? And his answer was not impressive. So,
well, no. If you ask him anything, he just says vote for somebody else. He doesn't want to be bothered. Hillary Clinton, people criticized her because she exuded this is my time. I earned this. How dare you ask me to campaign? She felt entitled to it. I got to say, Biden seems even more entitled to it. I mean, a voter just said to him, I'll vote for you in the general, but stop with the pipelines. And he grabs him by the jacket and he's like, but I need you in the primary. It's like the old guard doesn't get that you actually need to convince people.
I think that's what a lot of voters are waiting for, too. They think, the ones who maybe aren't paying enough attention think that they'll be able to vote for Joe Biden in the general, which, as we know, the way things are going, that's really probably unlikely. I'm looking at these last couple days. He's on a downward trajectory in every poll, including South Carolina, which is supposedly his big...
Today, poll came out, Post and Courier, I think it's from, South Carolina. Bernie Sanders at 20%, Biden at 25%. Let me tell you something. If Biden wins South Carolina by 5 points over Bernie Sanders, people are going to be streaking in the streets if you're Bernie Sanders campaign. We hope Bernie won't be, please no. But a 5-point loss to Joe Biden in South Carolina is a victory if you're Bernie Sanders campaign, because Biden's not going to get enough delegates in the states that he needs to clean up. So theoretically, if it goes the way you think it's going to go tomorrow, if Bernie wins Iowa, likely to win New Hampshire,
Nevada.
Nevada, Bernie's already doing very well among Latinos. So you could have the first 3 states, and then if South Carolina right now is showing 5, I have a hard time believing he could win South Carolina, but he could come close enough where it's basically the end of Biden. If Biden doesn't crush in South Carolina, I don't know how you make an electability argument.
I mean, after the nonsense that we're seeing with John Kerry, sending these mixed messages, if Biden loses badly tomorrow, which may happen, they're going to have to rethink everything because the polls are going to massively shift. The momentum is here. Bernie pulled in 3,000 people at a rally last night. I mean, you can't fake that. No matter how much media fluffing you do, the reality is the people are with Bernie. So we're going
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Jamal and I need to eat. We need to go to the bathroom. I might have a beverage. I'm not going to lie. We got to the 1,500 people watching. I kindly ask you, do your civic duty. If you're not a Status Coup member, I'm going to ask you real nice. I'm taking my glasses off and I'm looking into the camera.
Come closer. Take a step.
I'm going to come forward. If you're not a member. I know you're getting a lot of emails right now from Bernie Sanders, from the DNC, from Joe Biden, from AARP, whoever's emailing you asking for money. I'm not competing with Bernie. If you've only got $5, I understand if it's going to go to Bernie and not Status Coup. We're cool, okay? But There's a reason that the corporate media doesn't do what we're doing. A, they're owned by multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates who want to keep you poor. That's number one. But number two, this is very expensive. Just for Jamal and I to come here to Iowa, the price seems to be going up, but just for the flights and the rent-a-car and the hotels and the food, it's like $4,000 before you even, like, just in a blink. And we're not funded by banks. We have no money from bankers. We have no money from the fossil fuckers. We have no money from the big pharma people. We have no money from Silicon Valley. We have no money from big real estate. We have no money from the big people funding the Democrats or the Republicans, and we don't want their money. And it's very liberating when you don't get funded by those institutions and plutocrats, because you could do whatever you want to do. And the only people that I have to answer to are you. I know that might sound cheesy to you, but that's really the truth. The only Jen, our wonderful, wonderful co-founder of Status Coup, she thinks that I read the comments under the videos just to, just for my ego. I actually read the comments under the video to see what are you interested in? What do you want to see covered? What do you think about the interviews I'm doing? Are you interested in what we're doing? Do we need to be doing something else? I respond to you. And I really, really believe we are not the Bernie Sanders of media. But I really believe we are at a time where the corporate media and their propaganda is becoming less and less effective. But there's a reason for that, because of alternative media. It's not just us. There's great other voices: Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, Jamal Thomas, Lee Camp, Abby Martin, Max Blumenthal, The Gray Zone, The Rational National, The Humanist Report. Apologies, whoever I'm missing. But I will say, we are the only ones in the field, and it's no knock on them. Everybody's got their place. Oh, Crystal Ball, The Hill. But we are the only ones that I know of that are in the trenches, in the field, and that's different. And it's a higher financial bar. It costs us a lot of money to do this. I would like to be able to hire other reporters. I would like to be able to hire additional marketing help, additional social media help. I would like to do all these things. But money, we cannot print money like the Federal Reserve.
The gentleman here is going to get us free beers for the episode.
Oh, thank you. We cannot print money like the federal government does for war. We can only grow through you. So I don't know how many members signed up so far today. Last time I checked, we were 90 members from 1,000. We were 90 members from 1,000. So if you want to support actual reporting, we're going to be going tomorrow all day for the caucus. Then we're headed to New Hampshire for the primary. If you want to fund this, if you want to see this, help us do it. statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. That's a cup of espresso or whatever the fuck they're selling at Starbucks these days. You could also become a member at $10. We have other plans, but the bottom line, you could do it for $5 a month. If you're already a member, we appreciate your super chats. You could donate at paypal.me/statuscoup. If you can't do any funding, that's fine. If you don't have it in your budget, there is something you can do. If you can't financially support us, share these live streams, word of mouth. Follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're live there right now. Follow us on Instagram. That's instagram.com/statuscoup. Instagram.com/statuscoup. Follow us on Twitch. I don't even know how I'm remembering this shit because I'm so tired. Twitch.tv/statuscoup. And join our email list. And by the way, for those of you that are already on our email list, you could join our email list, statuscoup.com. We are being sent to a lot of your spam. We are being sent to a lot of your spam. So if you're not seeing emails from us, we've been sending out emails. Go now to your spam folder and get us out of your spam. Lickety split. So I thank you for watching. We've been live 3 times. Jamal, come on over here so people could see you. I want, you're behind the camera. What's today been like? Tell people from behind the scenes what it's been like for you.
Oh man, it's been very exciting. I've literally absorbed people's energy for Bernie Sanders today. It's infectious, You really can't deny that kind of passion. Back up. You can't deny or fake that kind of passion, you know. When people say that they come from Arizona or California, they're coming from states on different coasts just to support, volunteer, not even get paid. It makes you really think about the political process that we have currently and what it could be, you know, where people actually have full participation in democracy. So it's just been an exciting day. I haven't eaten since 9 a.m., but I've been just running off of energy. So it's been very, very, very exhilarating. Jordan.
Thank you for watching. I'm at Inger's on Tap, by the way. Ingersoll Tap. Ingersoll Tap here in Des Moines. I'm about to have a few. I'm not going to lie. I need it. It's been a long couple of days. Check it out here in Des Moines, Ingersoll Tap. They have the Super Bowl on right now. It's a good vibe. So, and I am not going to lie. I am going to go enjoy a beverage or two. What?
Do you have room for one more interview?
Yeah, one more. U.S. Senate? Bring her on over. Yeah. All right, we're going to do one more. Yeah, bring them out. That's fine. Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah. I'll have a Bud Light or a Miller Light. Good. We do it for the people. We're doing one more interview, a U.S. Senate candidate coming up. So before I get to that, and Jamal, by the way, I don't want to hear any complaints about food. I've been trying to end for the last half hour, but we're going to get a nice, wonderful dinner tonight. My girlfriend's going to be mad at me. I haven't been eating too well out here, but what are you going to do? So, Jordan hung over for the caucus. I'm not going to be hung over for the caucus. Absolutely not. I'm going to have one or two cocktails. I need it. I have not been hung over in a long, long time, so don't you worry about that. Let's read some comments, questions, concerns. No IPA. Jamal, a beast. Yes, one more. Old style man. Spread out one more. Tom Steyer slammed the DNC today on CNN. Tom Steyer slamming the DNC. Wowzers. Oh my God, go to the bathroom and have a bite to eat before you drink. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Oh, Kimberly Graham. She's running against Jody Ernst in Iowa. This is going to be good. Yeah. Ooh. So, let me read a couple. Oh, wow, we just got Lorna, $20 in the super chat. Thank you. Anat, I'll be happier if we get another member. Love you, baby. Ooh, we just got a new member. Kimberly, how you doing?
Hi, sorry.
Jordan, nice to meet you.
Jordan, nice to meet you.
So you are running, if my research tells me right, against Jody Ernst here in the great state of Iowa.
Yeah, I'm running for United States Senate against Joni Ernst, who unfortunately has been in the news quite a bit in the last week regards to impeachment.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me about your background. What got you in this race? Obviously, Jody kind of came in on like the Tea Party, I think, and has been basically a bumper sticker, a rubber stamp for Trump.
Well, yeah, she was actually recruited out of the Iowa State Legislature back when she ran for Senate in 2014 by the Koch brothers and by their organization. And yeah, Joni Ernst has been really bad news for the people of Iowa and really for this country because U.S. senators affect us all. The NRA spent $3.1 million on ads against her opponent in 2014 for starters. And she's really been a really good friend to pharmaceutical industry and to the healthcare industry. She voted to repeal the Affordable Care Act 7 times, which would remove the pre-existing condition protection, would mean that when you turn 26 now, you would be kicked off your parent. You wouldn't even be able to be on your parents' insurance. It would remove the lifetime caps. We've got those lifetime caps that got lifted. It would do away with that. It would destroy a lot of things about healthcare as we know it today.
And I looked at your website yesterday, actually. I mean, you're for universal health care. Yes. You're very strong on the Green New Deal. Tell us about what are the proposals you're really pushing here in Iowa, which, to me, even though it's a red state, I meet a lot of Republicans that are closet progressives. They just don't know it.
This isn't a red state.
Oh, okay.
It's a very firmly purple state, and it has been really back. We had Senator Tom Harkin and Senator Grassley as our senators for 30-something years. Grassley's still in there, as we all know. Tom Harkin was the architect of the Americans with Disabilities Act, an extraordinarily progressive, revolutionary piece of legislation. He was for a higher minimum wage, etc. And then we have Grassley. So what that tells me is generally Iowans want authenticity. They want to know that whoever's running is doing this for the right reasons, that their heart is in it. Whether the policies matter, and it looks to me like Iowans' policies are getting solidified more and more and more in the progressive direction. If you add the Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren polling numbers together here in Iowa, it's pretty clear that the majority of Democrats that are here in Iowa want a progressive candidate.
And let me ask you, because a lot of people that are going around, I mean, I met at a Biden event yesterday, a nice woman who basically was just like, well, I think we need moderates to beat Trump. And, I just think we need moderates. Yeah. But then when I was like, how's moderate President Kerry working out for you and moderate President Hillary Clinton, she kind of turned. So it seems like people are starting to realize that, like, it's not so radical, like, just to be like every other country and provide health care and these kind of things. What's the response you've been getting to your message here?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I realize this is not a scientific poll, but we had the Iowa Youth Straw Poll that came out last week, and we won at 32% of the vote, and 85% of the kids who took that poll are eligible to vote in this election. They were older high school kids. We won overwhelmingly by 1,400 votes with 32% of the vote, and the next two people down who are more moderate centrist, 19%. So, I mean, we really did very, very well. We seem to be doing extremely well among, college-age voters and stuff, and this is the country's future. And our country won't have a future if we keep going the way we are with the climate. I don't understand why we don't have a universal health care system yet in this country. It's absolutely appalling that in a nation this wealthy, that anyone here would die from rationing insulin, or would die because they put off going to a doctor because they can't afford the deductible or they can't afford their copay, and on and on. And we just have no excuse for that other than greed. And we can change it, but until we get more people who are willing to stand up in the U.S. Senate and stand up in Congress and fight for basic fundamental human rights like health care for Americans, it's not going to change. So that's why I'm running.
And I want to talk about Green New Deal, because Iowa's been really hit with the climate crisis here. People's farms, the Midwest had real bad flooding last year. So even farmers and even Republicans are starting to realize, like, no, this is a real thing and we need to do something. To my knowledge, Joni Ernst is not exactly like on board with this Green New Deal.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, if anything, I think they just make fun of it, or they say it'll cost too much or something, without actually talking about the cost of not doing anything is the real cost. And this was the Green New Deal, if we're able to pass all the pieces of legislation to enact it, which is a lot of people don't really know. They think the Green New Deal is some kind of law, just for the benefit of those who might not know. It's not a law. It's a resolution that just says basically a roadmap. Here's where we need to go, and here's the time by which we need to get there. We better get going. And we've got to get there. I mean, I have a 20-year-old son, and he's one of the main reasons that I'm running for office, because what's his life going to be like if we keep on the course that we're on? We're going to have a bunch of sick people, not only because they can't have health care, but because the environment is unhealthy as well. Yeah.
When's do you have the primary coming up?
Yeah, well, it's June 2nd, so we have 4 months. Okay. Basically, yeah.
Where can people find out more about your campaign if they want to volunteer, what have you?
Yeah, so they can go to KimberlyForIowa.com. It's KimberlyForIowa.com, and we are starting to organize our national volunteer base. We've got, fortunately, and we love all of you, about 32,000 Twitter followers at this point. And so a lot of people are very excited about our campaign because they know that this is one of the 5 top vulnerable U.S. Senate seats in the country. And just like Beto O'Rourke enlisted people from all over the nation to text bank and phone bank and everything for his campaign, which almost took down Ted Cruz, we're going to be doing a similar thing in that we're going to have national volunteers as well as local volunteers. So people can donate from anywhere as well. We are truly a grassroots campaign. We don't take corporate PAC money, and we also don't take corporate lobbyist money from individual corporate lobbyists, which one of my competitors in this race on the Dem side has taken a lot of corporate lobby money, and we're not doing that. So we really depend on small dollar donations from a lot of people to fund our campaign.
One more time, the website?
KimberlyForIowa.com.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right, folks, I got nothing left. I'm going to go eat, have a cocktail. Thank you for watching. We will be back tomorrow. I think we're going to follow some more Bernie volunteers as they canvass just a few hours before the caucus. And then tomorrow night, we will definitely be at the, might be a victory party, might not, but we will be there tomorrow night to show you the results, show you the energy. And this is a really big, it's a really big election. And as a journalist, you can't really ask for anything more. I mean, the energy here, I hope we're showing you it through the camera, through the live stream. It's just incredible. Really an honor to be here and to do this. And I thank all of you who have been watching, sharing, liking, super chatting, and of course, one more last call. Join us as a member, statuscoup.com/join. And if you're joining us as a member now, go check it out, because we're posting behind-the-scenes photos, behind-the-scenes videos, just for members from here, including some LOL, I will say, some real, I'd say, funnier moments from the campaign trail. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Peace out.